future life?
And, you know, I think commonly we think of websites as HTML entities, you know, almost basically, you know, static pages that you create in a text editor with little tags to say this is bold and there's an image here. But that's very old school. Nowadays, almost all websites are dynamic, not static. That is, they are created on the fly when you visit that site the first time by pulling data from a database using software on the server and then merging that with a design and putting it up for the user. These are typically called content management systems. They started with blogging software like WordPress. So WordPress, you make your post, your blog entry, it's just, you know, text. You have a template, a design, and the WordPress engine merges the two to create a web page every time somebody comes to visit it. Drupal does the same thing. WordPress is pretty much focused on blogging. That's, by the way, why it's very easy to change the templates on your blog and make it look different without re-entering any of the content. You couldn't do that otherwise. The reason that they don't talk a lot about interacting with existing databases is Drupal and most other content management systems are using databases on the server side. In the case of Drupal, it's MySQL, although it can use PostgreSQL and other databases. And getting data from one database into that database is just a couple of lines of PHP code. It's a very simple thing to do. Would you want to do this once, or would you want to do it over and over again?
Well, sort of. I mean, what it is that the thing for me is I really don't have a lot of nitty-gritty programming web skills.
Right, but there's nobody going to give you an automatic way to do it because your database engine looks one way and the MySQL looks another way. So some massaging of the data.
That's what I was hoping that there might be, because the content management systems seem to be so well designed in terms of a person. It's not like a sort of geek in terms of programming, and so I find that it's really very easy
absolutely.
To set up and
you shouldn't have to be a programmer. But again, do you want to do this once, or do you want to do this constantly? In other words, is there going to be?
I probably, it would be something that I'd want to be periodically updated.
Periodically, okay.
I guess the premise is that if I get access to a wholesale price list of products and there's 100 or 1,000 products in that price list, and I need to periodically, maybe
you have to update it. I understand.
Once a month, update it. And I need to import that data.
Here's the reason there's kind of not any automated way to do it. Each content management system, in fact, each e-commerce module has its own database layout, right? Different fields, tables, so forth, and that aren't necessarily going to match yours. So no matter what, some massaging has to be done so that it says, well, this is the product, this is the price, and it has to kind of, draw lines from one field to the matching field in the other database. And if you're going to do that on a regular basis, the best way to do it is programmatically. And the nice thing about PHP and MySQL is that you don't have to know MySQL. PHP gives you an interface to it that's very easy to use. My suggestion is, and you shouldn't have any trouble finding this, especially in Adelaide, is find somebody who's a PHP MySQL programmer and ask them, look, this is the database, this is the Excel spreadsheet I'm coming from, or you can say I want to save this as a CSV file or some sort of export format, and this is the database I want to go to. Can you write, it'll be 5 lines of code, can you write a simple PHP program I can run as a cron job periodically to update this database? And they'll be able to write that. It's less than a day's work, very quickly, shouldn't be very expensive. And that's probably the best way. I don't know of any CMS that will do this automatically because it doesn't, the structure is different for every single person. So there's no kind of automatic way to do that I know of.
Well, I suppose because I'm really doing this just as a hobby thing at the moment, so I didn't.
You don't want to spend any money on it. Yeah.
Spend a lot of money sort of hiring people and so forth.
Well, one guy, it's not going to be expensive. One consultant guy, but it might be a simple thing for you to play with. I mean, there are, if you look at, instead of looking at the e-commerce solutions, in Drupal, look at the import-export modules. You will find modules designed to import into tables from a variety of formats.
Well, that sounds interesting. I didn't think about that.
It's a different.
Those import modules would be for importing data such as a price list.
Exactly. So, for instance, here's one import-export API that'll allow you to import a CSV file into the database, and that's really it's different from the e-commerce part. It's a separate module, and maybe that's why you're not seeing it. I think that this is why one of the reasons I like Drupal. one of the reasons I like Drupal is because it has such strong user support. And you could even post this as a problem on one of the Drupal forums. I bet you somebody would write it for you for free. It's something very straightforward.
Yes, and I have been on the forums before, and I agree. There's a lot of knowledge there. So probably now knowing that that's what I'm looking for is more the import-export.
Exactly.
I might do a little bit of research on that.
Look at the import-export API. This is probably all you need. Hey, good luck. I'm so glad you stayed up with us. Good night, Trinity. Good night, Neone. And thank you so much for joining us.
Good. I love the format. This new show for us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your watching. Take care.
No worries. Thank you.
I love having all these viewers all over the world. Isn't that wonderful? Coming up, Mr. Excel. He's an expert on taking spreadsheets and making them understandable. He's going to show you how you poor folks who are using Excel 2007 can go back to the old school style. Coming up as the lab continues.